Hey there, welcome back to The Magic in the Music. I'm Jen. Today, I'm going to be talking about a common issue that comes up for prospective DVC members, and it is fear. We have some fears about becoming members and worries, and today we're going to talk through them. This is your Disney Vacation Club therapy session, so stick around. Hey, before we get started, I want to let you know about 3 quick and easy ways that you can support this channel if you find this content to be valuable. The first way is to head on over to our Patreon page, and you can become a patron of The Magic in the Music. I'll include the link down below. The second way that you can support The Magic in the Music is by heading on over to our Etsy shop and checking out some of our products over there. And the third and absolute easiest and fastest way to support what we do here on The Magic in the Music is to hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed with the bell notifications on, and leave us a comment here. In fact, for this video, we would like you to tell us your biggest Disney Vacation Club fear. What worried you before you became a member? Or what are you currently worried about as you are considering becoming a member, or maybe even adding on additional points? The more you engage with our video, the more YouTube puts our video out to other people so that we can help other people. So let's help everybody out, and make sure that you leave that comment below. Thanks so much. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about DVC fears. Fears. Some of you maybe didn't experience this at all, but I am definitely a worrier, and I had some serious fears before we purchased our first Disney Vacation Club contract. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. The first thing is, if you aren't sure what Disney Vacation Club is, this is probably not the right video for you. You're going to want to go on over to our playlist of Disney Vacation Club videos. We have all kinds of educational stuff, so you're going to want to get to know more about it. This is more for people who are familiar with the product and they are considering becoming members, or they're considering adding on, or they're already members and they just enjoy consuming content around DVC. So what were some of my fears before we became DVC members? Well, I will be honest with you right off the bat. My husband is somebody who doesn't worry too much about things. I do enough worrying for both of us. So I'm the worrier. Comment below if you're the worrier in the relationship, with your partner. And so I was really worried about it. I was nervous because, well, it's a timeshare. And we were always not timeshare people. We were the people who weren't going to ever own a timeshare. And then all of a sudden, here we were looking at Disney Vacation Club, and the reality was sinking in that this was a really good fit for us, and this made sense for us to purchase DVC, but we aren't timeshare people. So I was kind of grappling with that and feeling a little bit, that was a little bit of an obstacle for me to try to get over. So if you can relate to that, definitely tell me in the comments. So now I'm going to go through a list of the most common fears, and these are mostly all fears that I felt also before becoming a member. The first most common fear about DVC is, will you like being a member? Will I enjoy being a member? I wasn't sure if I would actually like owning a contract. And so one of the ways that I kind of dealt with that fear is that we started small. We bought just a 75-point contract right off the bat because we figured we were kind of dipping our toes into the water and just sort of testing things out before it got, too serious or too big of a financial commitment. And so that really helped me to kind of just get over that first hump of getting into membership. And really, then I could experience all of it and see how I really felt about it. Spoiler alert, we love it. Some factors to consider if you are going to enjoy the membership is, can you plan 11 or 7 months out for your vacation? So think about that. There are a lot of other factors involved. Are you organized? If you are somebody who is really chaotic or loves to plan last minute, this is probably not a great fit for you. So you have to really think about those things ahead of time and be honest with yourself about that. It also really helps if you enjoy staying at the resorts that are part of Disney Vacation Club. So if you know those are places you've visited before or you've stayed before and you enjoy them, that's another thing that's going to indicate to you that you're probably going to enjoy being a DVC member. Okay, here comes probably the most common one. Can I afford it? Can you afford to be a Disney Vacation Club member? While being a DVC member is not on the level of Club 33, it is certainly not cheap, and it does require quite a considerable investment, especially up front. So this is something you have to consider very carefully. Of course, this is going to be a very individual decision, and it's going to depend very much on your financial situation. And so you have to kind of weigh all these factors individually. And I do get a lot of comments on videos where people are saying, how can people afford this? And, I mean, it's not my place to say what you can or can't afford. And that's an individual and, quite frankly, a personal decision. But what I will say is run the numbers and then run the numbers again and then run the numbers again, and make sure that you're really, really comfortable with what you're taking on with DVC. And of course, people are in different places. Some people are purchasing DVC who can just barely afford DVC. And some people are purchasing it who have tons of money for discretionary spending, and it's just nothing. It's just a drop in the bucket to them. You know your own situation. And I do know of people who had to really stretch to purchase DVC, and they still loved it. It was still a great fit for them. So, the important thing is that you can fit it into your budget and you can afford it, and it's not stretching you and becoming a stressor in your life. You don't want it to be like that. If it is a stressor, then you're not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be a great fit. On the same subject is financing. We, generally speaking, do not recommend financing Disney Vacation Club. There are a few exceptions to this, few circumstances where it might make sense. And we've even had a situation where we ended up financing a small portion of one of our contracts because we just couldn't find the contract we wanted given the budget we had. So we expanded our budget slightly by financing a small chunk, and we were able to have lots more options and find exactly the contract we wanted, and paid off that financing in like 8 or 10 months. It was really, really short. So the amount of interest that we paid was very, very small. So there can be circumstances where it makes sense, but it certainly does not make sense to finance a really, really long time at a really high interest rate and just be losing tons of money on interest, because that really cuts into the savings of DVC. So the bottom line is run the numbers, know your finances, make sure that you're really transparent. If you are purchasing this with somebody else, make sure that you are communicating clearly and openly. And that does tie into one other important thing. I don't think that DVC should be a knee-jerk or impulsive decision. I think it needs to be calculated and carefully considered before you do it. So if you are thinking about buying it on a vacation or a cruise, it's probably best to go home, think about it, run the numbers, and be sure that you're comfortable with that decision before you pull the trigger and go for it. Another thing to consider on the cost of Disney Vacation Club is, aside from the cost of the contract itself, you have annual maintenance fees that you have to budget for, and you also have consistent travel to the DVC resort locations. So that's something sometimes people don't think about. If you become a DVC member and say your home resort is at Disney World, well, you're probably going to be going to Disney World more often. So not only can you afford the Disney Vacation Club contract and the maintenance fees, can you also afford the park tickets you're going to be using? Can you also afford the dining that you're going to do and the other incidental expenses that you're going to do? And in our case, the airfare. The airfare is one of the big costs for us traveling to Disney as well. So you have to take all of that into consideration. Okay. Another big fear that I had when I first bought into DVC was, will I be able to actually get the reservations that I want? Because that's what you're buying it for, right? You are buying DVC so that you can have your stays in these Disney resorts. And if you can't book what you want, well, then what was the point of all of it, right? As far as this fear, I would say there are a couple factors to consider around this. The first one is, are you comfortable using the website for booking your stays? If you're somebody who really has a hard time navigating a website and isn't comfortable booking and getting around on the website, this might not be the best fit. Yes, you do have the option of calling member services and they can book things for you. But if you are trying to book a popular room type at a popular time of year, you might need to book it immediately when the booking window opens, which is really only on the website. The member services line does not open until 1 hour later, and you may always be at a disadvantage if you have to call in order to make bookings. Yes, they can help you with that, but if you want to get that really popular room at the 11-month window, you may struggle if you are limited to only booking it via phone. Another thing to think about with getting reservations is, do you enjoy kind of the game? We call it the game of booking reservations. Again, if you want to stay at Saratoga Springs all the time or Old Key West all the time, you're going to be able to book pretty much anything you want, anytime you want, it's not a problem because those resorts are available quite a bit. But if there are certain things that you want an Animal Kingdom value studio, or you want club level at Animal Kingdom Lodge, or you want a standard view or a Lakeview studio, deluxe studio at Grand Floridian, or you want a standard view studio at Bay Lake Tower, or you want a studio at Copper Creek. Notice studio is a theme here. Studios are the hardest to book because they are the least costly in terms of points. So if you want something that's really popular and in demand, then you need to kind of get into the gamification of booking that. You need to get up early. You need to be on the computer, and you need to know what you want and be decisive and go after it. If you enjoy that, you might really like booking your DVC reservations. Another factor to consider about waking up early to book these is if you're on the East Coast, it's not that big a deal when the booking window opens at 8 a.m., but we live on the West Coast. So that means that it's a 5 a.m. booking window for me, which means if I'm trying to book something that's hard to get at 7 or 11 months, I set a 4:45 a.m. alarm because it's worth it. But maybe it's not worth it for you. It's worth it for me. Another thing that's going to influence your ability to get those reservations is, can you be organized? Can you set reminders for yourself to book your reservations? It's really important that you stay organized and keep track of your contracts, your banking deadlines, your booking windows, and all that kind of stuff. If you are somebody who stays relatively organized, that shouldn't be a problem. I know I rely on my phone a lot. I set reminders months and months out in advance just to make sure that I take care of those really important DVC chores. The next fear that a lot of people have around purchasing DVC is, what if your needs change? What if my needs change? Well, our needs are already starting to change. When we first purchased Disney Vacation Club, we were only getting studios. And now as our children are growing, we are starting to enjoy staying in those one-bedroom units even more because we like having that door and having a little bit of privacy from our kids. We are also tending to travel with family and friends more often. So we are finding ourselves even booking 2-bedroom units more often as well. So for us, our needs have involved needing more points so that we could take more people and get more costly rooms. So it's going to vary from family to family. I know if you fast forward into the future, we may reach a point where we aren't needing that. We're actually needing to downsize and have fewer points, which leads me to another important thing. If you break up your DVC sort of portfolio into smaller point contracts, you have the ability to sell off additional contracts that you don't need. And so, if you have 4 different contracts, maybe later when your needs change, you could reduce it down to just 2. And so you have a little bit more flexibility, and that is a way to kind of mitigate that fear. Oh boy, this is a really big fear that a lot of people have. What if my DVC contract becomes worthless? And this really ties into the idea that it's a timeshare, because it is a timeshare. We've all heard horror stories about people who purchased timeshares and they could not get rid of them. They couldn't give them away because they had maintenance fees that people just weren't interested in paying. So this is a real fear, the fear that your contract will become worthless or that you can't get rid of it in the future. This is a real and legitimate fear, and one of the biggest fears about purchasing any timeshare. So let me just speak to a couple of factors with this. The first one is the track record on Disney Vacation Club. This has been around now for more than 30 years, and Disney has a very, very good track record on Disney Vacation Club. It's never really plummeted in value. You do see occasional variations up and down over time, but the overall trend has always been upwards in terms of its value, and in both on the resale market and the direct cost of purchasing it from Disney has always continued to trend upward. So that is something, even through recessions, that it has continued to go up. That doesn't mean that it will always go up. A big thing that is looming off in the distance for Disney Vacation Club is actually these expiration dates. We start to have some of the resorts expiring in 2042, actually several of them in 2042. And it's going to be interesting to see how the values of those properties, those contracts, are going to change as we get closer to that 2042 expiration date. So that means that those contracts, they expire and they're done. Those owners no longer have anything left. So I would say for now, probably for the next 10 years, at least, we're going to see those contracts continue to go up in value. But I start to wonder in the last 5 to 10 years of some of those resorts with that 2042 expiration date, they will potentially start to decline in value as they have fewer and fewer remaining points on the contract. So that is a really important factor to consider, especially if you're buying one of those resorts with an earlier expiration date. On the other hand, if you're buying Riviera or Polynesian or something like that, those expiration dates are way, way out there. I don't think that's a major factor to consider anytime, for a few decades. You don't need to worry about that. And by the way, I've heard that the average Disney Vacation Club contract is held for about 10 years. And so if you kind of think of that as like an average, just sort of say, where do I see myself in 10 years? Where do I see the value of this in 10 years? That's kind of a good metric for gauging whether it's a good fit for you. When we made our first DVC contract, how did I feel? Well, like I said, I'm the worrier in our family. And so I was apprehensive. I was nervous. I knew on paper the numbers added up. The numbers made sense. And all of the factors fit with our lifestyle and our travel habits. And I knew it just made sense, but I still was nervous about it. I would say that, we were scared about spending the money, but we chose to buy the smallest contract we could at the time for that particular resort, which also afforded us direct Blue Card benefits with DVC. So that made sense. I have no regrets about making that purchase. So even though I felt nervous about it, it is something new, I pushed through the fear and we went ahead and purchased it. And we figured the worst case scenario was if we got it and we didn't like it, in a few years, we would be able to probably sell it and maybe break even. Okay, the big question is, how did I feel once we actually became members and started using our membership? Well, no surprise here. We loved it. The very first trip that we took on our DVC points was in January, and we had purchased the contract in late August, early September, and we took a trip in late January. And the first time I set foot in Animal Kingdom Lodge, I was just blown away. It was breathtaking. I loved everything about it. And all of the fears, all of the worries, they just melted away. And I loved it. And I knew it was a great decision for our family. I do have a special memory I want to share about our first DVC trip. So we had arrived late at night and we went straight to our room at Kidani Village. And I just loved it. I loved everything about it. The smell, the color, the sights, the lighting, the vibe, everything was wonderful. The music, everything. And we went to bed and I was so excited. And a lot of you can relate to this when you go to Disney. You're so excited. You're just wired. And I couldn't sleep well. So we slept for a while and I woke up very early, about 4:30 a.m. And we were very close to the DVC library area at Kidani Village. It's just off the lobby. And I walked down the hallway and I went down to the library and it was still dark outside. It was before sunrise. And there was no one there. There was one person working at the desk, one person in the lobby. Everything else was just absolutely silent and dark. I went into the library and I sat down by the fire and I put my feet up. And there was a fire in the fireplace and it was dark. You could kind of just see the hazy light on the distance out, in the savannah. And I thought, okay, this is it. This is what we wanted from DVC, and we're getting everything that we wanted. This is exactly it. And I thought, our vacations are going to be different now. Oh my gosh, I'm emotional talking about it. Our vacations are going to be different now because we used to do so much rushing around and rushing from one attraction to the next and trying to get it all done. And that was the moment that I realized that now being a DVC member, we were going to come back. We were going to have the gift of time at Disney. And it just changed everything. It really helped me to learn how to relax. And it was also the moment I knew I needed to buy more points. So we went home and we immediately started shopping for our very first resale contract because we were hooked. Well, since that time, we have added on more contracts, both direct and resale, and we love our DVC membership, not just for what it does for our family in terms of vacation options and how it makes it easier for us to vacation. It also has given us the opportunity to make so many friends and meet people through so many online communities and things with DVC. We have made real life, real in-person friends through DVC. And you'll even meet other DVC members sometimes when you're staying at the resorts or you're on the vacation. And it's just a great community of people. And I am so grateful for how Disney Vacation Club has opened up my world. So as you can see, there is actually a really big emotional factor when it comes to purchasing Disney Vacation Club. It's really easy to look at the numbers and say, well, maybe you could invest money on this in this other thing and then you'd have more money and this might be better. But there is this intangible component to DVC membership, and it is the emotional component. If you are the kind of person that loves Disney and loves to travel there, then this might really resonate for you. That idea that you are owning a piece of Disney, that you are connected to this place in a way that a day guest might not be, or a way that you didn't used to be in the past. There's also kind of an element of fear of missing out. You don't want to miss out on having access to those member lounges or the Moonlight Magic events or whatever. There are all kinds of special things, that opportunities that are afforded to you through your DVC membership, and you don't want to miss out on those things. So you can't really put a price tag on that emotional component. Is this going to satisfy this kind of emotional piece of the Disney experience for you? If you get it, then you get it. And if you're one of those people that resonates for you, you might really, really enjoy your Disney Vacation Club membership. Hey, sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants. Some hearts, they just want Disney Vacation Club. And if that's you, or that's maybe your partner, maybe you don't feel that, you're just by the numbers, but your partner is going to feel a lot of satisfaction and a lot of joy out of owning that piece of Disney. That has some value. Yes, there's not a number we can put on it, but that emotional satisfaction, there is some value to that, and that should not be discounted. Ultimately, this is about making decisions that are a comfortable fit for you and your family or your travel party, and that meet your needs, whether those are financial needs, vacation needs, or emotional needs. Those are all valid considerations. Disney Vacation Club is not for everyone, and it's not for everyone at all seasons of their life. Maybe you're going to own it for a while and then be done with it. Maybe you're not ready to own it yet, but later you'll be in a season of your life where it's a great fit. The biggest way to overcome these DVC fears is education. So make sure that you are going in with your eyes wide open and you are well aware of all of the factors of being a DVC member. That's the best way to actually combat any of those feelings of fear as you enter into your DVC membership. Hey, be sure to share in the comments below what fears you might have had before you became a member, or if you're thinking about becoming a member, tell us what fears or worries you have. It's really great to share our experiences, and we can learn from each other's experiences as well. So let's turn this into a conversation. I think this could be a really great opportunity to help each other out. If you'd like to get the most out of your Disney Vacation Club membership, be sure to click this video right here. And if you want to check out our other DVC educational videos, room tours, and just all things DVC, check out this playlist right up here. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. Bye.